What is learned helplessness and how do you overcome it? As I smack my board. Peace. Cheers, folks. Mark, Flying Health Coach. Happy insert day as always. Glad you're here. Hope you're happy that you're here. Again, today we're going to talk about learned helplessness. And again, I do these videos because I just want you guys to think a little differently. Maybe it helps you choose a different path in life. It helps you do just something different, right? Or just even helps you pause and be like, yeah, I do think like that, right? Or I do want to look up different resources now, right? So that's the point of these videos, just to make you think differently and hopefully help you become the best version, your 2.0 version of yourself, if you will. So again, today, topic, learned helplessness. What's that, Marcus? Glad you asked, because I have a semi-decent whiteboard drawing. It's actually not that good. Learned helplessness. I know I look like Kilroy. So what is it? Learned helplessness. It's the mindset of, what I write down again, what's the point? It's kind of embarrassing. What's the point, right? That's learned helplessness. It's the mindset of, what's the point, right? I'm going to fail anyways, or it's not going to work anyways. You know, who cares if I try? I'm just going to lose this person, lose that person. I'm not going to get the job. I'm not going to be successful, right? It's just slouched shoulders over. You got just this like depressed look on your face, poor physiology in your body. You've learned over your life that you have that mindset of, no matter what I do, it's not going to work anyway. So what's the point of trying? That's learned helplessness. So how do you fix it is the question. I can't give you all the answers, but I can give you a couple good things today that are going to help you get over that mindset, and I want to share them with you. Before we get into the meat of the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe up in the corner. flyinghealthcoach@gmail.com. Again, for one-on-one coaching, coaching again is just me meeting you where you're at in life. It's not me telling you what to do. It's just us getting together as a team and helping you figure out how to get from A to B, B to C, C to D, so on and so forth. Real quick, finally, my book, Flying Health Coach Guide, How to Un-F Your Life. Download for free, 13 to 14 pages are free. If you like what you read, cool. If you don't, no big deal. If you want to read more, it's available for purchase just below that in the link for $6.99 lulu.com. Let's go back to the content. So, learned helplessness, right? What's the point? Now, the question is, how do you fix that, right? How can you go from a mindset of, if I try, it's not going to work. No matter what I do, I'm just going to fail anyways. But understand that you weren't born that way, right? Nobody is born depressed. No one's born pissed off. It's something you learned over your life based upon the experiences that you've had, right? Because what is learned helplessness, aside from what's the point? It's you're stuck down here in this fear and anger side, right? You've had so many, and I feel for you guys that have to go through this, right? It sucks. I know it does. But you've had so many experiences in life where maybe you've tried so many things and nothing seems to click, right? So that's going to put you, why wouldn't it? Put you in a state of being fearful of trying something new, and it's going to make you angry, right? Those very low vibrational states, right? That's where your learned helplessness lives, in those lower vibrational states to where you're just angry, pissed off, you're fearful. Makes total sense, right? If you try a multitude of things in life, it's like you try dating for all these years, or you try to, become a pilot, or you try to do whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, and nothing seems to work, and it feels like you keep failing over and over again. Over time, you're going to build that mindset because repetition is the mother of skill, right? Unfortunately, that skill you're learning right now is failure, and that gets deep-rooted in your brain. To eventually, where you get to the point where you just stop trying. You stop trying to be the best version of yourself. You stop trying to build your 2.0 version because of learned helplessness. But coincidentally, first step, right? Excuse my allergies, as always. First step in getting out of the mindset is recognizing you have that mindset, right? Is hearing yourself, whether it's saying it verbally, right, or just subconsciously thinking about it, or maybe you journal and you see yourself using some of those, more negative type vibrational words like anger, fear, frustration, jealousy, and all that type of stuff. However you recognize it, but that's the first thing you have to do is you have to recognize it for what it is. And then think to yourself, okay, this is where I'm at right now. I hear myself saying, what's the point? I'm going to fail anyways. I recognize that. When you recognize it, you can start to ask yourself better questions. Why? Because when you recognize it, you can accept it. And when you accept it, it raises your vibration a little bit, right? How many times in life, guys, have you maybe you felt super sad or depressed or whatever it is, anxious, and you're like, yeah, you know what? I just feel like crap. I feel a certain way. And when you just accept it, you automatically feel just a little better in the moment, right? It doesn't fix everything, but when you accept it and the willingness to accept it, it automatically raises your vibration, and that automatically allows you to ask yourself better questions. When you ask yourself better questions, you're going to start to get better answers. Now, think of Thomas Edison, right? How many hundreds of times, or thousands for that matter, did he fail at producing a light bulb? What would have happened if he never did? What would have happened if he gave up on that 999th time? That one more time, if he would have figured it out, what would have happened in our lives if he never did that? Not to say nobody else would have figured it out or picked up his work, but who knows how that would have altered the course of history. Same thing goes for you, right? If you're feeling anxious, depressed, fearful, whatever right now, if you go through that over and over and over again, you get to the point where like I'm done trying. I'm gonna fail. I keep failing. I can't become a pilot, or I'm never gonna date this person, or I'm never gonna do X, Y, and whatever, insert your life story right there. When you all of a sudden stop, right, and you quit on that, and you give in to that learned helplessness mindset, you're always going to wonder, what if I just would have kept trying and kept trying new avenues, kept trying new ideas, and ask myself different questions, right? You never know, but you don't want that mindset going to your grave. So, first thing to do, and the biggest thing to do in my opinion, accept where you're at right now, have the willingness to accept where you're at right now, that you have that mindset, right? Just accept it. That's what I'm doing right now. I can hear myself talking that way, and that's okay. When you accept it again, you can start to make changes. So when you accept it, or have the willingness to accept it and recognize it, that's automatically again going to help boost your vibration. Light bulbs went off. I know I can put a word to that now. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I look back at all my scenarios and I see this is why I'm the way that I am. It helps understand who you are and your identity and why things happened, right? So when you do that, step one, just recognize it, accept it. That's going to allow you then to start asking different questions. And this is part of Tony Robbins' 5-step master program, okay? And we're going to focus on his neuroassociative conditioning and implement the first 2 or 3 steps to this, right? So right now, guys, I want you, if you're struggling with learned helplessness, if you find yourself saying those, what's the point? I'm going to fail anyways. You find yourself doing that right now, have the willingness to accept it. Accept what's going on in your life. Accept the fact that things just have not worked. Take a deep breath, for God's sakes, right? And smile, because this next couple parts is going to help you. So insert Tony Robbins' neuroassociative conditioning. So step 1 for that is understand your why, right? Why do I want to get over this, right? What sort of pleasure am I going to gain by getting out of my current mindset to get to where I want to be, right? So you have to understand your why. Get your why down and get that emotional connection to who you want to be and what life do you want to live. Once you get that down, move on to step number 2, which is associate a massive amount of pain by not changing versus a massive amount of pleasure by changing and getting what you want, right? Then insert the next step. Let's, I'm going to blend both them together a little bit by gaining leverage and pattern interruption, right? So I think the biggest thing with learned helplessness that's going to help you right now is pattern interruption. But before I get into that, let's just review. First thing, willingness to accept your current state of mind, right? Accept that. Once you do that, ask yourself, What's my why for wanting to get over this? Why do I want to improve myself? Where do I want to go? Third step, okay? Third step is to associate a massive amount of pain by not changing. If I don't change my mindset, I will never achieve X, Y, and Z thing. Versus if I do change, I'm going to experience this immense amount of pleasure by changing and feel that pleasure. Transform yourself into that moment where you have changed and feel what it's like to be that 2.0 version of yourself. When you get to steps 4, we're going to mesh these together. And a very important thing is to have a pattern interruption. You need to have this, guys. This is one of the key things here when it comes to learned helplessness is a pattern interrupt, because something's going to happen in life to where you're going to all of a sudden say, what's the point? I'm going to fail anyways. You're going to say that or think it, but now that you're aware of it because you've identified it and you've accepted it, you can stop and be like, nope, that's not me anymore. And when you have a pattern interrupt, right, and a pattern interruption can be anything. It just can be like recognizing that I said this and like snapping yourself out of it. It can be clucking like a chicken. It can be shouting something, acting outrageous, doing something that just stops you from thinking that way. That's a pattern interruption, okay? And you repeat those steps over and over again until it becomes a part of you. Over time, you're no longer going to find yourself, you're not going to be asking or saying things like, what's the point? I'm going to fail anyways. You might still say that, but you have tools now, especially pattern interruption, to get yourself out of that mindset. The second you do that, you're going to start to ask yourself better questions. You're going to start to become a person who is, what's the solution, right? What are my steps to get myself to where I want to be? That's where you want to get to, right? You still might not be in your most ideal 2.0 version, but now you're asking yourself better questions and you're putting yourself on a path that's going to get you to your next step in life, right? And that's going to keep that, if you always see those memes, right? You see that little dude, two dudes, right? Both shoveling, and, one person's like, yay, far away from getting the goal. The other person was like that close, and they turned around and went back. Don't be that person, right? Because who knows? Just like Thomas Edison, you might be at the 999th time of trying to be your best version of yourself, and it just takes one more decision. It takes one more trial for you to get there. Right? You never know, and that's the beauty of life. You always have power of choice, right? But don't let that what if or what's the point mindset control you. So, to recap, what do you have to do? First and foremost, have the willingness to accept that you have this mindset and catch yourself saying those phrases. What's the point? I'm going to fail anyway. Just accept it. Once you accept it, you're going to feel a little better. Okay, now I don't need to be in that fearful anger state anymore because I moved up in vibration. When you accept it, then ask yourself, where do I want to go? Who do I really want to be? What's my why for doing what I'm doing? Create that powerful vision for yourself, right? When you get to step 3, associate a massive amount of pain and really feel it, right? Associate all that pain by not changing versus associate all the pleasure you're going to get by changing. Okay? And you need to transform yourself again, guys. You need to put yourself in that mindset and feel what it's like. And finally, you need to gain leverage over yourself. You need to have a pattern interruption. You need to repeat that stuff over again, right? Pattern interruption again can be whatever it means for you. When you catch yourself saying things like, what's the point? I'm going to fail anyway, or whatever your learned helplessness is, when you catch yourself doing that, pause, stop, do something to get that out of your mind right away. It's not allowed to be in there anymore, right? You made a choice that that's not you anymore. Cluck like a chicken, bark like a dog, right? Yell something at the top of your lungs, or whatever. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but interrupt that pattern immediately, right? And keep recycling those steps over and over again to the point where eventually you won't have that thought process again, right? Because now you're asking yourself better questions, more solution-oriented questions of, how can I get from A to B, B to C, C to D? That's where health coaching comes in, right? Anyway, hope this video was helpful. Learned helplessness. You don't have to be stuck in it forever. I know what it's like to be there. I know what it's like to have that mindset. And getting into Tony Robbins' work has truly helped shape my mind and my life in a much more positive way when it comes to having a more compelling future. I was that person, guys. I'm telling you, I was that person for a long time where it's like, what's the point of trying anymore? Like, I'm just tired. I'm sick of it, right? And I felt myself asking myself very demeaning questions. The second I stopped that mindset. The second I started interrupting the pattern, the second I started asking myself better questions, the second I started understanding my why, I was able to get out of that mindset. And as you guys know, I talk about this all the time, I don't have my ultimate dream life yet. And that's okay. But we're in a journey together, we're doing it together. And I want this video to help you guys because it helped me immensely with these steps to get out of that learned helplessness mindset and to start living your life again. So anyway, hope it's helpful. Peace and cheers, folks. We'll catch you later.